everyone, my name is Marjoni Janee, and I'm a commercial product photographer specializing in advertising. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some techniques and insights on how to create natural sunlight by using artificial lights. So today I'm trying to highlight the natural grain of the wood floor. The floor is our product that we're going to be focusing on today. Not the table, not the kitchen, not the background, the flooring is the product. Our client wanted us to emulate natural sunlight coming through the window to highlight how it will look in someone's home. So we had to build a set in the studio, a fake kitchen, and give our client what they needed. So today's lighting setup is going to be a simple 3-light setup. Our first light we're going to use is going to be our key light. We have it pointed through the window, bare above, well, not really bare above, but has a reflector on it, pointing through the window, pointing at the floor. It doesn't have a grid on it or any kind of modifiers or filters on it because we wanted to emulate the natural sunlight coming through the window. So once you see later on, once I start taking photos, you'll be able to see how it nice and naturally lights the floor. It looks just like if the sun was coming in. Unlike portrait photography, our second light is going to be a fill light. And we're going to use a 61-inch octabox for this. The reason why I'm using an octabox is because it's going to fill in the shadows underneath the table without overpowering the light that's coming in from the key light. So when we turn that on, it's going to be about half power. It's going to nicely highlight underneath the table and highlight the floors. Our last filler that we're going to use is this light right here. It's going to be pointed at the ceiling for full power. This also lightens the shadows from the top. Since our ceilings are white, it's going to bounce off the ceiling and come down. So we have this light pointed straight up at the ceiling at full power. It's going to evenly light the whole entire set. Now when it comes to the camera setup, we're going to shoot it at a high aperture, only because we want to showcase and highlight the foreground and the background. Since our product is the flooring, we want to make sure the floor in the front is the sharpest because that's what the customer is going to see. So you have to keep in mind when shooting this type of photography, what your end result is going to be and what your client wants. So for this particular case, our client wants to highlight the floor. So we're going to have it to make sure it's sharp all the way through. So before we get started, my final thing that I'm going to do to make sure the set is absolutely perfect and according to my client's needs is add some props. We got to make it feel and look like how it would in a client's house. I'm going to add some props and complete the look so we can start shooting. All right, so before we bring the props on set, first we got to clean the floor. So we want to make sure that our floor is free of debris and any dust particles because, again, the flooring is actually the product that we're shooting. And that looks nice and pretty. Let's put this over here. So now I'm going to just add some little fine details to make our studio kitchen look like a real home. So our client had a color scheme that they wanted. So we just followed what they had in their mood board. They wanted a simplistic kitchen setting that wasn't going to overpower the flooring, because again, it's about the flooring and not about the chair or the table. So they just wanted something really simple, a real simple setup, just so we can highlight, but also look realistic. So now that we have that out of the way, let's bring the camera in and let's start shooting. So for this type of shot, we want to make sure that you have a tripod because we want it to be steady for each shot. I'm actually going to shoot this a little bit lower to the floor since we don't have that much floor built. So I'm just going to bring our tripod down some.
How important is perspective?
Perspective is important, and it also depends on what your client wants. So our client in this matter didn't provide a lot of flooring for us to photograph. So I have to come a little bit closer, almost right up to the edge, to the edge of the floor, just so I'm able to capture and create somewhat of a depth of field, and also cut out the sides without having to crop in too much. So what I'm going to actually do is tilt the camera vertical, as you can see, to adjust like so. So when I zoom in, I can have a full picture versus having to crop it in post. So I'm gonna line up my camera to the edge of the flooring and zoom in to where I can't see. Come back a little bit. Zoom in to where I can't see the edge of the flooring on the side. Zoom out just a little bit. So I want to make sure that I capture the edge of the table, because it would just look weird and you won't be able to really identify what you're shooting if you don't see a little bit of the table in there. I think that looks good. So I'm gonna show you how each light looks one by one, so you can get an idea of why I'm lighting it this way. So I'm gonna start with the key light in the back and then build each light one at a time to make sure I get the right exposure of the light coming in through the window. So back here we have our key light, and I'm gonna turn it on with the modeling light on, just so I can get and see the direction of the light coming through the window. Because if you move it around, you can, just kidding. It'll help you direct it, and also make sure that you have a remote trigger, which is dead, so I need a battery, you see. Make sure that I have a remote trigger in the back hooked up, so because I'm some distance away from our camera, we want to make sure that it fires when we trigger the camera to shoot. So then we're going to go to our next key light. All right, now that we set up our light in the back, I'm going to do a test shot. Alrighty, I like this. Right now I'm currently at f11, but it's a little too overexposed on the floor. I want to see the grain of the floor without it really overpowering the floor and washing it out. So I'm going to bring my settings up 2 more stops, and this is at f14. Okay, it's getting a little bit better now. I can see a little bit more of the detail of the floor, but I think I need to go up to f16, and I think that might be our sweet money spot. And that is perfect. As you can see in our picture, this part of the floor has a really nice highlight, and as it comes out to the foreground, it's given a nice highlight showing the actual grain of the floor. Because again, the product that we're shooting today is the floor. So I think that's perfectly just the way it is. So now I'm gonna do is set up the second light, which is our first fill light. This light, I have it pointing at the ceiling because, like I said before, we want to nicely and evenly add some highlights to the floor without overpowering the light we just created. So I have this on full power, pointed at the ceiling, bare bulb. It doesn't have any grids in it. It's just pointed up there on full power. So let's take a shot so you can see how that looks. That's perfect. So as you can see in our picture, this area that was previously dark is now nicely lit up. It's not overpowering the light that we created here, but it's just nice, even lighting. Because again, it's pointed at the ceiling, and the ceiling's reflecting the light back down and creating a nice, even lighting throughout the whole flooring. So our last and final light is gonna be our other fill light, which has a diffused octobox on it. And we're gonna turn this on probably at half power, because I wanted to also fill in some of the shadows and also add a little highlight to the table and the chair. So, and let's do a test shot. And let's do a shot. And now do you see the difference? So what it did is filled in all this area underneath it. Because this light is, with no grid on it, it's creating such a harsh light. It's creating shadows underneath the chair and underneath the table. So by adding this light, it fills in this area right here. And again, since it's on half power, it's not overpowering this light in the back. So the gold Iridian, you have your key light, you have a fill pointing at the ceiling, bare above, and then you also have a diffused octobox pointing probably at a 45-degree angle at the floor to add additional fill on this side. So I would use this lighting setup in mostly anything that has a window that we have to shoot on set. It's the same lighting setup. So let's just say a client wanted me to shoot a chair in front of the window. I would actually do the same exact lighting setup. This is what we're doing right now. So we can go for anything. So there we have it. Now you've learned how to do a simple 3-light setup to obtain natural sunlight by using artificial lights. But this is not where we stop. As you can see in the back window, there's nothing but the studio walls in the back. That's not what our client wants. Our client wants something that looks a little bit more realistic. Our last and final step will be to superimpose a stock photo into the window, showcasing what it would look like if it was somebody's actual home. So what we're going to do next is go into a brief video tutorial on how to actually impose a stock photo in the windows.